with what you think is the expectation or the congruity or the blending or the harmony with the surrounding residents, you're within your rights to deny that building permit, are you not?
Well, first of all, there'd be a subdivision plan for the area itself based on a concept plan, right? So if the original concept plan was shown to everybody and everybody was fine with it, and the rezoning went through, and the developer come back with a further subdivision plan that showed a different type of use on those lots, we'd have to look at it more closely to make sure that it was compatible.
Okay.
So, and what you're saying is yes.
Okay. I think we've got enough info. Oh, sorry. CAO Crosby would like to speak.
Not trying to belabor this either, but for process, I believe we should vote on the deferral. And if it's deferred, it gives them more time to come back with further information. It also allows, you could put a condition on the deferral that they have to go through another public meeting. There's no problem to do that. But if you deny the application tonight, it's another year before they can come back.
Okay, so
with deferral, you still have to have the application come back to council, and you could still deny the application after that if you don't feel there's adequate information. I don't see any harm in doing the deferral tonight. The application still has to go back to council at another meeting, and if you're still not satisfied, you can deny it at that point.
The fact of the
I
matter
think what
is,
you have on the table tonight is deferral, and you should vote on that.
the fact of the matter is, Mr. Crosby, is that we have a moved and seconded motion
But not voted.
amendment
It's not
on the
It's
floor
not voted
right
on
now.
yet, though.
That's
So-
not voted on, though, Mr. Mayor.
It's not voted on yet. I'm just giving you my 2 cents
That
worth
wasn't a
for
friendly
process and stuff. It
amendment.
still allows council to still deny the application.
So do we have to vote on the amendment first?
I think you just go back, you can vote on it and after the information I've given here and say, we want to go back to the original resolution as described and perhaps put a condition on it. And then you would have your deferral. They would have to come back with additional information, work with the planning department to come up with a better concept plan and information. The application still has to come back. You can go through another public process.
But I'm
Then
just
you
wondering
can-
about process here, that we have a moved and seconded amendment to the main motion. We have a moved and seconded motion. We have a moved and seconded amendment to the motion. And I understood that we had to vote on the amendment first and then to vote on the main motion.
That or you could withdraw. the
I
motion.
can't withdraw it.
No,
It would
person
have to
that
be the
made
mover
motion.
and the
I'm just-
seconder.
Just saying for process, it would be an easier way to.
No,
do it.
absolutely not. I think we as council should decide ourselves on this one, and I'm fine if we don't all agree. But I appreciate the advice that we're getting. I think we're all grown-ups. I think we should be able to make our own decision without that. And if it's a year coming back, so what? Come with a good plan, and we're happy to entertain it.
Okay.
If you show up without a real plan, then that's what happens, right?
Anyway, I just gave my advice, that's all.
I know, but I'd like for us to make the decision, that's all.
Okay. I'm going to call the question on the amendment. All those in favor of changing the, amending the motion to read, to deny the application rather than to defer the application, please indicate by raising your right hand and saying aye. Okay, so that's 4. Okay, and all those against that amendment? So we have 4-2. A motion to amend is carried. So the motion now is to deny the application. So any further discussion on the main motion?
Doesn't matter now, it's already passed.
No,
main motion.
this is the main motion to, now the motion reads to deny the application. Okay, so I'll call for the motion, I'll call for the question on that motion. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, all those against? 4-2, motion carried. So that motion is carried to deny the application. Okay, you have another resolution, Councillor? Councillor McDonald?
I do.
Can I ask a question just before you go ahead? Just a suggestion, just out loud, because obviously there is confusion or comments in regards to the process that seem to have landed us where we are. And I just wondered if we could consider in the future that that initial group of folks that are receiving the letter, if there's a different way we could send them, or by registered mail, to ensure that what we've sent out is received and there's a record of that. Because it seems like there's a lot of people that have gone through a lot of emotions that maybe could have been avoided. I'm not sure. I'm not placing any blame, just for consideration. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Proceed, Councillor.
All right, this is resolution PH 027-2024, RZ 003-24, Part 2, a land use map amendment, which is R1 to R2, a request from the Town Planning Department to rezone 3 lots from the low-density residential zone to the medium-density residential R2 zone. Now, this resolution is moved by myself as Chair of Planning and Heritage, and it reads as follows. Whereas the Planning Department proposes to rezone 3 additional lots, PIDs 1019355, 1077270, and 384610, from the low-density residential zone to medium-density residential zone in order to keep track of zone boundaries and to avoid spot zones. This portion of the zoning amendment is known as Part 2. Whereas in accordance with the Stratford zoning development bylaw number 45, notice of this amendment application and public meeting occurred in the following manner. Notification letters were drafted and sent by Canada Post to the 91 parcels that fall within the required minimum 150-meter radius of the subject lands. Ads were posted in the local Guardian newspaper on 2 separate editions, August 31st and September 7th. 2 signs were posted on the property indicating that a zoning application had been made for the subject property. These signs were placed at the end of St. Catharines Avenue and at the entrance to 17 and 19 Georgetown Road. Notice of the public meeting was also posted on the town's Facebook page. Whereas a public meeting was held on September 10th, 2023 at 7 p.m. and was also live streamed on the town's Facebook and YouTube sites. Residents were given until 12 p.m. on September 23rd, 2024 to submit their comments. And whereas planning staff received 21 letters and emails from adjacent landowners and residents before the September 23rd deadline. Additionally, there was a combined package of letters submitted by residents and a petition signed by 70 residents expressing various comments and concerns regarding the proposed amendment. Be it resolved that Part 2 of the zoning amendment request application to change the zoning of 3 lots be withdrawn for the following reasons. 1, the property owners of the subject PIDs have no interest in the proposed zoning change. 2, the existing R1 zone is adequate for the current uses of these properties. 3, the current property owners have not proposed any future redevelopment of their lands at this time. And 4, PID 107-72070 was originally included in the council resolutions which called for the public meeting. This resolution bears the recommendation of Planning Development and Heritage discussed at a meeting held on October 1st, 2024.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Thank you. Councillor Jackson, any discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried. Okay,
Next resolution, resolution PH 028-2024, A 001-24, JDLB Holdings, zoning bylaw text amendment. Excuse me. Addition of a new use called stacked semi-detached dwellings into the medium-density residential R2 zone. It's moved by myself as Chair of Planning and Heritage. Whereas an application has been received from JDLB Holdings Incorporated requesting to add several text amendments to the Town of Stratford zoning and development bylaw involving the addition of a definition for a new use called stacked semi-detached dwelling. The addition of the use stacked semi-detached dwelling into medium-density residential zone as a special permit use and the addition of lot development and parking standards for stacked semi-detached dwellings. And whereas in accordance with the Stratford zoning and development bylaw number 45, notice of this amendment application and public meeting occurred through the placement of an advertisement in the local Guardian newspaper on 2 separate editions, being August 31st and September 7th. And notice of the public meeting was also posted on the town's Facebook page. And whereas a public meeting was held on September 12th, 2024 at 7 p.m. with only 2 residents in attendance, this public meeting was also live streamed on the town's Facebook and YouTube. Residents were given until September 23rd, 2024 to submit their comments. And whereas planning staff received no response letters from residents or landowners, be it resolved that bylaw number 45, 45Q, a bylaw to amend the Town of Stratford zoning and development bylaw number 45, be hereby read and approved a first time. This resolution bears the recommendation of Planning and Heritage as discussed at a meeting held on October 1st, 2024.
okay, do I have a seconder? Thank you. Councillor Cox. Okay, discussion.
A brief comment, Your Worship. I'm not speaking in opposition, but I do raise a concern I have several times in relation to affecting significant zoning changes prior to completion of the review of those two documents that I mentioned earlier. This one, as I understand it, through discussions with planning staff last night, is applicable to this particular application. However, it then becomes a opportunity for other developers to make application for implementation of stacked townhouses in any other area that's zoned R2, each of which will be considered on their own merits with all of the criteria laid out in the development bylaw for consideration. So I'm not opposed to it. I think it's consistent with the area where it's going, but I will raise the concern about us getting too far down the road in relation to changes to zoning prior to completion of the documents by those that have been contracted to research those, present them to council, and receive council's input. And, you know, hopefully we won't have too many more coming forward prior to then, and if there is, you'll hear me say the same thing again.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions?
So I might, I'm gonna call upon Mr. Ruff to give everybody an overview of what a stacked semi-detached dwelling is, and importantly, a couple of things. What type of use this will be in terms of, as of right, conditional, special permit, what zones it's going to be in, the development standards, in terms of the lot standards that we're gonna require, as well as parking standards that we're looking to address as well.
Thank you. Yeah, so this is, actually, can you open up the bylaw itself, bylaw 45Q? Okay, so in terms of the definition itself, we're actually adding, and hopefully starting down the road to actually add graphics as to what the uses look like. So this is a concept drawing or an illustration of what a stacked semi-house, like semi-detached dwelling looks like. So it's 4 units, so it's 2 units, ground floor, 2 units above. So it could either be the whole, like this facing the street. There's a couple of different options on it, but that's effectively what a stacked semi is. So a semi is a side-by-side, and then a stacked is where you actually have second unit on the second floor. So in terms of the use itself, it is being proposed in this bylaw amendment to be special permit uses. So special permit uses have to go through a public meeting process and are addressed by council. So it's on a case-by-case basis. They're not going to be as of right in the R2 zone. They're on a case-by-case situation. So you might get new builds come through here, or in some cases, a potential conversion of an existing, say, a duplex to a like a stacked formation. But it's on a case-by-case basis, and you need to see if it fits into the neighborhood. So can you scroll down? So in terms of development standards, it's been proposed to use the same as what is like a stacked townhouse unit is. So it's 250 square meters per unit. So for stacked semi-detached formation, that means a lot footprint of 1,000 square meters through there. And then, so it's effectively using the same footprints that we have for the stacked townhouses, but now instead of being a 6 units, you have 4 units on there. In terms of parking, we did bump up. So a stacked townhouse requires 1.5 parking spaces, just in light of a couple of previous applications. We've actually bumped up the required parking for a stacked townhouse, a stacked semi, so into two units per 2 spaces per unit, which is currently our maximum, like our highest required number of parking spaces for a residential unit. Singles, duplexes and semis at the moment require 2, so we're proposing to use that 2 minimum. That's the highest. There isn't any other use which requires more vehicles, more spaces per unit. So,
So, if I might, Mr. Ruff, can you tell us if there's any other municipalities in Prince Edward Island that currently have this definition in their zoning development bylaws?
I think Charlottetown, not necessarily the exact use itself, there is some considerations through there. Sometimes it's referred to a fourplex or something similar. I think some side was looking at it and Cornwall was looking at it, but
Okay, and in terms of the lot standards that are contemplated in the draft 45Q, would it be fair to say that this type of development can't go in just any R2 lot?
yeah. So in terms of the R2 lots, a lot of the R2 lots, I'll pick on Kelly Heights, they're the ones being developed. A lot of the semi-detached and duplex units in there are currently built out to maximum lot coverage. And like the size of the units there and the size of the lots are pretty much at the maximum. So you may get some applications on some of the larger lots in R2 zones. I know we have been in discussions with a couple of other people who are interested in these, but they have existing buildings on rather large lots or oversized lots that are potentially converted over. But it's dealt with on a case-by-case basis, so you'd have to see whether it fits that neighborhood.
Okay. Sir, thank you. Those are my questions. I don't know if anybody else has any questions. Mr. Ruff?
I just have one, like, it's a special permit use, right, Jeff?
Yes.
Yeah, and so you're looking at, do you know the area, Kelly Heights? Is it Kelly Heights?
Yes, so this amendment request came in from a specific developer. He had 2 properties in Kelly Heights that he was
Okay.
looking at. So.
Yeah, so there's something you just can't disagree on, and the developer, the contractor's building something accessible for people to start up, rent or buy and so on, so in an area that probably should be in with the code and so on, so I'll vote in favor of this resolution.
So, yeah, just if I might, I'll just have some general comments. I don't have any more questions for Mr. Roth, but while you're at the podium, I don't want to.
I just want to make sure, because I do find this confusing, and even when we were in a previous meeting, just for me to understand why, as the developer, when they had this request, why it had to be so broadly applied, like why we couldn't just apply this to that specific ask. So I'm trying to follow along, but you can assure me that even if we made this change and approved this change to get this first one going, that each request that came in subsequent from that would still need our approval.
Yes, yes.
It's not a go for all areas. Each one still has to have a special permit use.
Yes, that is
Okay,
correct. There
I'm
is
good.
no ability to have site-specific exemptions for site-specific uses. It's either all the lots or all the lots in the zone have the ability to do it, or none of them. There isn't any ability currently to say, hey, these 2 lots can get these specific uses. It's either all or nothing.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
that's good. I follow.
Yeah, so it's a special permitted use, so every time
Every
somebody
time.
wants to do it, it comes back to council for approval.
Yeah.
Got
Yeah,
it.
okay?
and
Thanks.
I'll just expand upon that point just for a second, and just so everyone can understand it, and to some comfort, I would suggest to council is that because this is special permit use, this council must pass a resolution to even hold a public meeting in the first place. There's not an automatic public meeting as of right. So we have the ability here at council to screen any proposals for these types of things even before it gets to a public meeting, to suggest whether or not it even has the merit to proceed to the public meeting. Because certainly, I speak to myself to a certain extent, but also to planning staff, we wouldn't want to be inundated with public meeting after public meeting after public meeting to consider these things. So certainly, that will allow us as council to review these at a fairly early stage in the process to see whether or not they even have the merit to proceed to that public meeting stage. So I think the fact that it's a special permit use does have some safeguards for us, because I think when we're inserting new language into any existing zones, that R2 zones fairly well spread across this municipality.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us want any unintended consequences to introduce that type of language. So I think the fact that it still very much remains in our hands, it needs to be that way for us to proceed, I think, respectfully. And it does, I think it does reflect that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, oh, sorry, Councilor Jackson?
Yeah, if I may, so just looking at Charlottetown, it looks like they're in R3s, but I don't disagree with it in this area, in Kelly Heights. I think it's a good thing. I think visually it looks great. I think it's in keeping with that area. Again, kind of feel the same way Councillor Dowling does about, and I understand this how it has to be, but making decisions. If a group in the affected area comes to a public meeting, but they make a decision for everyone in R2 zones across the town, I think that's something ideally happens when you're doing your planning bylaw. So I struggle with this when I see in Charlottetown it is R3s, but if it has to happen this way, I'm in favor of it in this R2, just with special permitted use. And I to what Councillor McDonald was saying, I don't want to see us get inundated with public meetings as well. So maybe at some point these become, if they go well, maybe they're as of right at some point, not now. But again, yeah, I think I'm in favor of it for here. I wish it was just more of a case by case, but if it can't be, then I'm good with it in Kelly Heights.
Anybody else got any questions for Mr. Ruff? Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, I'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you. I believe that's my last one, I think.
Okay,
Let me just check here. I don't think I missed anything.
no, I think you got them all.
Yeah. All right, thank you, everybody.
Okay, we'll now move to item number 10, recreation, culture, and events. I'll ask the chair of that committee, Councillor Chandler, to give her report.
Sorry, I wasn't quite ready. We've done some skipping around today. I do apologize. I know the report came in later, but we'll just do a quick few highlights. Many of you attended the Fall Fest. 1,500 to 2,000 people attended over that weekend, and we wanted to highlight that it was the first time hosting vendors and artisans, as well the food truck, blowing smoke, barbecue sold out each day. That whole event was so well done with the entertainment, and I would ask that you guys remember, if you attended that event, this is an aside, just a Jill opinion, that these are the things, these are the cultural events, these are the significant opportunities that draw our residents out and that people enjoy and experience, so that in the future when I come to you and stress the importance of supporting arts and culture in our community, that you'll remember these things. Thank you. Remembrance Day service is, the planning's underway and almost complete, and we've got a Light Up the Night event scheduled for Friday, November 29th, so you can mark your calendars for that. In regards to the kind of arts and culture activities, the artist, instructor, and residence, the RFP is going to be posted next week, so we'll hope to be moving on that. Youth Center registrations currently at 75 members. Registrations will be closing. The third annual Cheryl Duffy Walk was a big success with over $4,500 raised. Youth Center had approximately 50 youth volunteering at the Stratford Fall Fest event. And again, I've said this every time, It's so obvious to me the significant impact that our youth members have in our community, but also just in manpower and their volunteerism in helping execute these fantastic events. So a big thank you to them. Youth Center is open for drop-in Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and the programs for the fall season include the Drama Club, Art Club, Leadership Club, etc. Youth Center is currently planning to host their Spooktober Fest weekend on October 26th and 27th at Cotton Park, so mark your calendars. There's going to be an afternoon trick-or-treat and 2 evenings on the trail. Programs in recreation include the Rookies and Career Exploration Workshop, new programs being advertised and open for registration now. There's a fall art program registration open with courses, I guess, starting as early as mid-October, and youth art programs. Sorry, my mistake, that was still in the Arts and Culture portfolio. And we had a quick update from Rachel in regards to recreation. Everything's kind of going as planned. Numbers, I can see, are down a little bit in daily users, but I think that's typical for right now. And our biggest uptick in gym use will be kind of in the winter months, January through March. Everything else, I think, is happening as it should. Jeremy is out today, so if there's any questions, I can take them, but he's not here to answer them at this particular time. And that concludes my quick overview.
Thank you. Any comments or questions on the Recreation and Culture and Events report?
Really enjoyed Fall Fest. It was great. Look forward to Trick or Trail.
Okay, thank you, Councillor.
Your Worship, apologies for missing the report, Councillor. Urgent business to attend to. Just in relation to Fall Fest, I think the youth group did a fantastic job, as well as many staff members in pulling all that together. And I think it adds an interesting feature to leave the hay bales and stuff up, at least for the time being, until they're become a little too disheveled. If I had $1 for every time I saw someone take a picture with that huge teddy bear, then I'd have quite a sum. But it was a fantastic event, and congratulations to everyone involved.
Thank you.
We'll pass that along for sure. And of course, we do have Melanie, new staff member, and she hit the ground running with this event in collaboration with all existing staff and youth center members. But I do think that we did see some new things, and yeah, I think it was really, really well done.
Yeah. I was really impressed with it, and with the, in the morning there, we had Cheryl Duffy running and so on, and then the marathon, the run, and but everything went over well. Heidi and their staff there, and Rose and so on did a great, fantastic job with all the new decorations, and added new stuff every year, and people comment on that, like there was new stuff there, so it was good, great ideas. Parking was on one side of the road there off McDonald Drive, was great. Parking across the street and by the across the street there, and security did a great job. So positive comments. The weather was great till the end there, a couple hours, but
Yes.
everything was went over very, very well. And people, I'll tell you, people commented on the location. They love the location, and how some people haven't seen the Cotton Park. Some people the first time there and couldn't believe how beautiful the park is itself, and it was great across the board. I don't know down the road what we're going to be looking at with the waterfront develop the park. I don't know what's going to happen there. I don't know. I'm sort of, I guess that's another discussion to be made, but I know the waterfront, our boardwalk and so on, that's our new park. So I just hope everything that we'll probably discuss that later on where events are going to hold. I know people, families, young kids, closed area, love that area. And, and with the buildings and stuff moved and everything else and with staff and so on. So that's
Yes.
another discussion down the road.
Another discussion, just that your comment made me think that I also wanted to mention, like you did, Heidi and Rose, they do such a good job.
Yeah.
And that's not just at Cotton Park, it's all around our town. And the other thing I'd like to say in this setting is that they take such pride in their work. They're genuinely excited to do these things, so a big thank you to them too.
Thank you. Okay, thanks for your report, Councillor. We'll now move on to Finance and Technology. I'll ask the chair of that committee, Councillor Dowling, to give his report.
Thank you, Your Worship. To begin with, the Finance and Technology Committee did meet on September 18th, 2024, and the minutes from that meeting are attached in the package. Just a couple of quick points in relation to that. We did discuss long-term financing for certain projects, and a couple of motions later in my report in relation to that. The audited financial statements for year-end March 31st, 2024 were reviewed at committee, and I believe they were dispersed to members of council as well. And I'm not sure if they are on our website as yet. No, not as yet, but they will be. Yeah. So they will be available on the website soon, Your Worship, for public to review. Another one we discussed was something that cuts across a wide variety of committees, and that's the Stratford Legacy Book Project. And I'd encourage residents who know of somebody that they want to nominate as interviewee and youth as interviewers. So the concept, as I understand it, is we'll have youth in our community interview more experienced, long-term, and diverse citizens for a legacy book that will be part of our 30th anniversary in 2025. So hopefully, I don't think we're there yet, but hopefully we'll have that, I think it's a 30 of each we're looking for. Yeah. So hopefully we'll be able to fulfill that and see that project go to fruition. It would be a wonderful celebration and something that would be great to have as a legacy for the community, for people to look back on and review from time to time. Okay. So just quickly, a report from Director O'Connell. As usual, she's been very busy. I'll start with saying utility bills are being processed and the e-bills have been issued. The paper bills should be in residents' hands by October 11th, so tomorrow. The Director attended the presentation of the annual resident survey as well as the CARI board meeting. Met with other directors to review the Canada Community Building Fund allocation for the next 5 years and to work on project lists for funds to be allocated to. Attended the Business Women's Symposium and the virtual training session on estate planning. Attended a meeting with the CAO, Deputy CAO, MRSB and Stuart McKelvey regarding the community campus. And as well, the public school board lease is in for signing. So it's nice to see that negotiations have completed on that and we can get a new contract in place very soon. She worked on the Green and Inclusive Building Fund application for the Wellness Center and reviewed resumes for the vacant receptionist / administrative clerk. And interviews will be the week of October 7th to the 11th, 2024, so they're currently underway. Researched finance options for the purchase of a ladder truck for the fire company, and she and her staff remain busy on various day-to-day items. So I'll open, Your Worship, the floor to any questions in relation to that report or in relation to the minutes from the previous committee meeting.
Any questions? No? So you proceed with your resolution.
Okay. Also included are the town income statement and the utility statement. If there's any questions in relation to those. Okay, Your Worship, the first resolution is number FT 009-2024, Community Campus Site Servicing and Waterfront Boardwalk Long-Term Financing. Stems from the Finance and Technology Committee and moved by myself whereas the town of Stratford has completed the community campus infrastructure, which is the roads, solar array and active transportation network, and the boardwalk at the waterfront park. And whereas the town of Stratford asked for proposals for long-term financing of $2,300,000, and whereas we requested proposals from the following financial institutions: Bank of Montreal, Provincial Credit Union, CIBC, Royal Bank, Scotiabank, and TD Bank. And whereas a request for proposals closed at 1:30 p.m. on October 8, 2024, and whereas long-term financing of $2,300,000 is within the 10% capital debt threshold of the town of Stratford, the current borrowing limits for the town of Stratford based on our total assessed tax base of $1,261,487,155, 10% of which is $126,148,715, of which we are using $18,564,267 as of March 31st, 2024. And whereas the following rates were received for long-term financing, and those rates are contained within the body of the motion, Your Worship, key one being on option one, fixed term for 2-year term, the lowest rate being 4.02, that being from RBC. Be it resolved that the town of Stratford enter a fixed term loan of 2 years with an amortization of 20 years with RBC for the community campus infrastructure and waterfront boardwalk at the rate of 4.02%, and that the mayor and chief administrative officer be authorized to enter into the loan agreement with RBC on behalf of the town of Stratford. This resolution bears a recommendation of the Finance and Technology Committee as submitted via an email poll on October 8th, 2024. And I will just add, Your Worship, prior to it opening for discussion, that it is anticipated that the rates will continue to go down, which is why we're looking at a 2-year term, in the hopes that at the end of those 2 years, we'll have a significantly lower rate, which will then be able to lock in for a longer term.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Seconder, do I have a second? Councillor McDonald, thank you. Okay, any discussion?
As Councillor Dowling noted, it's just, I think it's the best rate we can do to get to that 2-year point where I think a lot of economists are forecasting we're going to see a little bit better relief in interest rates. So I think it's the most prudent course of action to take.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried.
Thank you, Your Worship. Next resolution is number FT 010-2024, Community Campus Water and Sewer Infrastructure Long-Term Financing, Stratford Utility Corporation. Stems from the Finance and Technology Committee, moved by myself. Whereas the Stratford Utility Corporation has completed the community campus water and sewer infrastructure, and whereas the Stratford Utility Corporation asked for proposals for long-term financing of $2,200,000, and whereas we requested proposals from the following financial institutions: Bank of Montreal, Provincial Credit Union, CIBC, Royal Bank, Scotiabank, and TD Bank. And whereas a request for proposals closed at 1:30 p.m. on October 8th, 2024. And whereas long-term financing of $2,200,000 is within the 10% capital debt threshold of the town of Stratford, the current borrowing limits for the town of Stratford based on our total assessed tax base of $1,261,487,155, 10% of which is $126,148,715, of which we're using $18,564,267 as of March 31st, 2024. And whereas the following rates were received for long-term financing, and those rates are contained within the body of the motion, Your Worship, with the key one being option one, 2-year term for RBC at 4.02%. Be it resolved that the Stratford Utility Corporation enter a fixed-term loan of 2 years with an amortization of 20 years with RBC for the community campus water and sewer infrastructure at the rate of 4.02%, and that the mayor and chief administrative officer be authorized to enter into the loan agreement with RBC on behalf of the Stratford Utility Corporation. This resolution bears a recommendation of the Finance and Technology Committee as submitted via an email poll on October 8th, 2024.
Okay, do you have a seconder? Thank you. Councillor Jackson? Okay, any discussion? No? Okay, we'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried.
And that will conclude my report, Your Worship. Barring any questions from the floor?
Thank you, Councillor. Okay, we'll now move on to former item number 12, formerly item 9, safety services. And as the chair of that committee, Councillor Jackson, to give his report.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll recap just the highlights of the meeting. Safety Services meeting, September 16th, 2024. We report from the fire company. They're making good use of the new boat that they got in May, I think, and rescued in conjunction with another boat or a kayaker in the river. I know there's another instance where they had the boat in the water, so it's great to have that capability. Brand new boat, rescue boat for the Hillsborough River, and a lot faster and a lot more safe than the past model that was kind of worn out. Just a little bit on the RCMP, busy with traffic patrols and being really diligent and timely in looking at encampments that may be popping up in the town. And I know Corporal Weatherby may speak to some of that in his report, but nice that they are identified and dealt with promptly, and we do appreciate our RCMP for working with town staff and with residents and making sure that they're reported and dealt with quickly. Just some other items in the safety services meeting of September 16th. We had talked about Briar Jones. I know I brought that development up earlier, so we talked about the parking issues that we have had in that area. Our committee made a recommendation to put up some no parking signs in the area, and they will be enforced after a bit of a grace period, I guess, just to try to change the idea, change the behavior of parking in the street. Second, we talked about the permanent speed hump request for Hollis, and unfortunately, when we do that, we ask the province to look at traffic. And not that that's a bad thing, but when they did look at it, they're suggesting the speed actually could be higher. So getting to the point in a certain area down by Balderson that it's up to 50. And that would actually remove the eligibility for speed humps. And I know we heard a lot of it last night, a lot of it speed at the public meeting. The one thing I want to remind residents in that area of is that we do have a paved active transportation corridor or a trail all the way down Hollis, all the way to where it will join with the trail in Reeves. So that's one way we deal with pedestrian safety there. We'll monitor, and I know the province will monitor that when it does get changed, but that is something that was that came out of that review. The third item here, so Rosebank Road, I know we talked about this at last council meeting, didn't get done this year. Apologize to the folks in Ward 2, and especially in Rosebank Road area that didn't get done. It was a priority of ours, of the towns, and it was not approved by the province, so we're going to lobby our finance minister and our other member, the other minister, to make sure that, hopefully that's still a priority for next year, and that they follow through with that. Last thing with the minutes of our meeting, talked about T Hill Park. I know there's been a look at showers, and there's been some, things are aging down there. So it's some work going to be done with that, and it's a good chance for us to look at the overall use of the park from a standpoint of like passive recreation for residents and taxpayers. Looking at family safety. It's a good spot for family events. I know we talked about the Cheryl Duffy Walk, and maybe that's not the place for it, but I'd like to see that return to a family, more of a passive recreation area. So that's the minutes of September 16th. Maybe I'll call on Corporal Weatherby talk about the RCMP report. I appreciate you being here on your day off, Corporal Weatherby. Yeah, we're going to deal with that one. Okay. Yep. And so just while Corporal Weatherby's getting ready there, I know in the report there's 15 selective traffic enforcement program initiatives in September, and you probably talk about those. Great to see such a push in September, and even better to see there was no violators in that. So great to see our finest all over Stratford, and I know the areas that you set up were all over town, Corporal Weatherby, and just great to see. But I'll pass it over to your report.
Yeah, for the month of September, we had a total of 317 police occurrences, which is actually was more than August, which is usually August and July are usually our busiest times. And compared to last September, it was 317 compared to 200 what we had last September, this time last year. 40, there was a total of 44 summary offense tickets issued in the month and 30 warning violations. Of note, just what wasn't captured, and thanks to Constable Jamie Parsons and Loren Sanders and Constable Bryce Haight with the provincial traffic section, which weren't captured in this report or in the report. They spent a full day in September, dedicated their whole shift to just the town of Stratford, where they issued 43 summary offense tickets in one day and 5 warning violations just within one day. So really the totals for the month of September would be almost at 77 summary offense tickets and 35 warnings. We discussed the step files where there's with the speed limit dropping on the bridge to 50, we put a lot of extra focus on the Hillsborough Bridge. People are driving across. Everyone's so used to it being 70 that, you obviously you have to use a bit of, some of that was education purposes too as well, for some that got pulled over and that. So we did try to put some extra concentration into that. We had 19 reports of theft, and of that, 18 were gas-related files in relation to gas. We had, we did have some pretty good community engagement, especially at the start here of the school year and continued start of the school year. Constable McGrath attended the first day of school at Glen Stewart, talking to all the kids and teachers and just being visible in the school zone. And quite a few of our step files, our selective traffic enforcement program files were in those school zones. So a lot of the members are putting that extra effort into on their day shifts, because usually it's 2 days, 2 nights, but on the day shifts, just getting down to the school zones and keep an eye on that between Stratford Elementary and Glen Stewart School. Still, traffic continues to be, I believe it's in the 64% of our files is traffic related, 12 collisions through the month, and 8 check stops of note. Constable Anthony McDonald attended the Citizens on Patrol meeting on September 9th, and Constable Dylan Bro attended the Onan Festival at Town Hall on September 14th on behalf of the RCMP for involvement. And Constable McGrath attended the Stratford Fall Festival and attended the Cheryl Duffy Memorial Walk that morning and did that in uniform when he was on duty. And he was a lot of the kids like that between the fire department and the police at the Fall Festival there. So 5 laps. He did 5 laps. Yeah, he did a few laps. 5
laps. That's great. Yeah.
13 well-being checks through the month, which is a little up compared to, I believe, some other months here, even in the summertime. I think that's all I have.
Yeah. Anything with those numbers of the well-being checks? Any themes? Any just kind of nothing really? Just
some of the well-being checks can be, I guess, obviously related to either mental health or a relative, a senior who's may not have some family close that would, family member would phone us to go do a check just because they never heard from them for a day or two. And So that's usually typically what we would deal with when they're the well-being checks.
Okay. Yeah, I did see on Twitter, I guess, or X, someone doing 122 on the bridge. They were caught. Just for folks out there, 122 kilometers an hour to 50 zone now. Significant fine,
Significant fine,
Likely-
seven-day seizure
7-day
of
seizure,
the,
and
of the vehicle, over 50 kilometers an hour.
6 points?
It may even be more than that.
Maybe more than that. Yeah, I was trying to,
Yeah.
just to get the message out there for those folks. I know I get waved at one finger the odd time coming across for many reasons, but for my speed, I guess. And it is like there's a clear group of folks who are respecting that 50, and there's the rest that are going 80, 90, obviously 122. So still a little bit of education for folks out there. The signs are clear. Is there any, I guess this maybe is a provincial question, but is there any thought, or do you know if there's any in extending that 50 zone from the bridge up to Sobeys, or is that, I know it's a Trans-Canada highway, it's probably not going to happen, but I just had some questions from residents on, and then maybe that's more of a provincial question, but just seems like you get to that light and then you just drop it in the 50, or, you know, as soon as you get to the SO, you're gone. And that's where traffic's bunching up in the morning, generally at the roundabout by the church. So it's great to see it slow down. If there are accidents, people are probably less likely to get hurt, but it's just taken a while for folks to get onto it, I guess. So I guess I didn't let you answer.
Well, provincial would obviously decide on
Yeah.
doing their assessment on the speed. It definitely is bottlenecking with the construction going on
Yeah.
the other side of the bridge.
Yeah.
I think in one shift in September, myself and Constable No, right at the rush hour coming back, in the last hour and a half, between 3:30 and 5, we had two collisions that
Yeah.
really backed up the bridge, like
Yeah.
for an hour on the second one.
Yeah.
People were
And-
taking an hour and a half to get home.
Yeah, and then next year, more plans for next year, I think. So it's just something we have to get used to as we grow, as the city grows. I know it's unfortunate, and we talked about it last meeting. We don't like it, but that's one of the good reasons for that 50 zone and for folks to keep their eye on the road. Anything else for Corporal Weatherby before we?
I just got a quick statement there. I looked at property crimes here, and the fact that, 1/5 of, what you're investigating is fraud, it just shows you, is that a high number? And I guess just shows that there is fraud still out there, and Stratford is not, exempt from that. But that is a troubling number to me, especially when it comes to seniors, when people can, be fraudulent here in our community and in any community. But I just wonder if that number is a little high, or what did you think about that number?
That's,
Typical?
I guess typical, and it can
Yeah.
fluctuate. Some months it'd be very, very low.
Right.
And it would, I guess with the people committing these frauds, whether they're hitting that certain area.
Right.
um,
Is there
fairly
some
consistently, and then they leave it alone.
Do you see repeat offenders in that category? Some people that you've caught with doing fraudulent acts in the past that are still continuing to do that, or?
Not so much lately in Stratford that I
Yeah.
can speak to on that, on repeat offenders.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are some that live in the community that we do,
Keep an eye on.
yeah, we put some focus to them, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Great.
I just have one question.
Yeah.
The speed limit on the bridge 50, is that a temporary measure because of the construction, or is that permanent?
No one has really specified that. I was under the impression that it may be temporary until the construction is done.
Okay.
So I'm.
Yeah.
Until they take that speed limit down, or put it up, or.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, there's been little clarity on that. I was just wondering if RCMP was privy to anything about the province's plans.
Councillor McDonald, I haven't been told anything on that.
Okay, same as me then. Okay, thanks.
Just want to, Councillor Jackson, just express my appreciation to Corporal Weatherby and your members for your focus on traffic issues within the town. As we can see by the list, it's not just about speeding, which has always been a significant concern in different areas of the town, and hopefully that's starting to diminish. But it also often leads to more serious matters. Somebody's pulled over for expired registration that turns out to be impaired, and that sort of thing. And you know, there's still a high prevalence of impaired driving on PEI, impaired by alcohol or impaired by drug or both. And I don't know what the answer is to that. I've often thought through education programs and stuff that you would see a steady decline, but generation after generation, it seems to be maintaining a high degree of consistency. So the more of those individuals that are impaired we can get off the road, the better. So it's not only lending to appreciation from the residents for addressing the speeding concerns, but also the overall safety. So great work on behalf of yourself and your staff.
Yeah, I also want to express my appreciation for the, you know, the emphasis on traffic. I think it's really making people sit up and take notice and really pay attention to their speed and road safety, especially in subdivisions. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Your Worship.
And thank you for everything you do, because it's,
Appreciate it.
your responsiveness and the service you provide is second to none. It's excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Great. Thank you, Corporal Weatherby. Just to move quickly through the rest of my report, the Humane Society did not have a report in the package this month, but we'll get some on the next one. Transit report, we had our best average day ridership yet. 334 riders per day in September. That's fantastic. And we continue to see it grow. We did hear last night from folks about the desire to see transit in Ward 3 and Reeves in those areas. And you know, as we grow, hopefully we're able to do that, and we're looking at options there. So great to see the numbers. Quickly, the fire company, 15 calls in September, 10 of those calls in Stratford, 5 false alarms, so they continue to see false alarms, 2 alarms pulled, 2 no fire, 1 faulty sensor, 3 motor vehicle collisions, a grass fire, and a miscellaneous call assisting the RCMP to gain entry to a building. So pretty standard month for them. Again, a lot more than just fire calls. There's nothing else on my report. I'm going to get to the resolution we have around our street lighting policy. We have a new street lighting policy. It's going to replace our current version. Any questions on before we move forward? Okay, if I may, and I would direct any questions on this to Jeannie. She's very, very in tune with this and come up with a great new policy. So I'll read the resolution. So Town of Stratford Resolution number SS005-2024, streetlight policy from Safety Services Committee, moved by myself. Whereas the streetlight policy was drafted in 2006 to establish procedures and standards for installing streetlights, and whereas it was determined that the current policy is outdated and should be repealed and replaced with the attached updated streetlight policy, policy number SS005-2024, be it resolved that the attached updated streetlight policy, policy number SS005-2024, be hereby approved, and that policy number 2006-SS-01 be hereby repealed. This resolution bears a recommendation of the Committee of the Whole as discussed at a meeting held on September 25th, 2024. So moved.
Seconder? Okay. I'm not sure who got it there. Okay. Councillor Chandler, thank you.
Great. And if I may, Your Worship, just a little bit, so this does replace the 2006 policy, brings the policy up to current standards for lighting around spacing and luminance. I do want to thank Jeannie and the team for putting so much work into this and working on making sure that we comply with all the current lighting standards that are out there. So, and this is all evidence-based, based on the Illuminating Engineering Society of North America standards for roadways and roundabouts. And so this, I'm not sure if everybody get a chance to read it, but it is, it's excellent and brings us up to current standards.
But the only question that I have is just like just sort of an overview, if possible, of the areas that changed or I wasn't at the meeting, so I didn't get a chance to hear what the actual changes are.
Yeah, so maybe I'll defer to Jeannie. I know there's some, maybe actually, Jeannie, if you can easily do it probably a lot quicker than I could.
Well, no promises, but Generally, there's a table there at the end of the policy that essentially replaces a paragraph in our older version that kind of specified the type of street and whether there was a sidewalk or not, whether it was in a subdivision or not, and that gave us guidance for spacing of streetlights. This current table, the spacing is based, as Councillor Jackson had indicated, it's based on the illumination, of course, but it's carrying the street classification and the pedestrian classification as a guide. So we're no longer looking at, is it in a subdivision, does it have a sidewalk, or it doesn't have a sidewalk? We're looking at how many pedestrians would be on that street in a 1 hour time period after dark, and that's kind of what is guiding this, and based on the type of street, this is the spacing requirements or recommendations on that electrical standard, so.
But we'll
It's,
still, we'll still have them at corners, like at
Oh, absolutely,
intersections.
at
and all
intersections,
that,
yes,
yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yes.
All right.
Mhm.
I just have one question. When I look at the policy, it doesn't really specify, unless I'm just flying over, and I certainly could be. Is there anything in there about the policy about the light standards being installed on the side of sidewalks or active transportation?
When you say on the side of, I'm not sure what you're asking.
Well, I mean,
Oh, on the same side of the road.
Same side of the road, yeah.
Yes, so the spacing does cover that, because it's
does,
telling
okay.
us how close it has to be, they need to be installed in order to shed the proper light in that walking path.
In the walking path?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, great.
Okay,
Any
thank
other
you.
questions for Jeannie?
Just one other one.
Okay.
In terms of, I see that there's technical standards about how much light they need to throw off, how close they have to be, everything like that. Is there ever like design standards about what they look like specifically? Or is it,
So this is helping us where we have existing streets and we get requests for streetlights to be installed. We also have a section in here covering underground. I think maybe your question pertains to underground electrical supply where we have lanterns in place. Sort of the more decorative, is that what you're referring to as a standard?
maybe, I guess, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we have a specification that we like to share. We try to keep those kind of similar throughout the town. So we would share that if we had a design coming through for a subdivision with underground power, we would make sure that we're working with that team to follow that specification that we have in place. It's not included in the policy because that may change, so we'll just provide that and work with them at the time.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
And it's always the town that installs them, it's not the developer, and for new subdivisions.
In a new, with underground power, it would be the developer installing the lantern fixture.
Okay.
The town would coordinate with Maritime Electric to install streetlights on poles where there's overhead power. We would do that after the subdivision is taken over.
I beg your pardon?
In a subdivision where there's overhead power, we would coordinate with Maritime Electric to have the streetlights installed
Okay.
after the subdivision is taken
I
over.
guess my only concern would be, we did have a developer develop one area, one subdivision, and the developer went bankrupt, and the town was on the hook to actually install the actual lanterns. Is there any safeguards? And that's probably a financial policy, not a streetlight policy, but,
No, I think it's worded stronger in this policy that that's part of the design and the construction of the subdivision.
okay,
I'm not, yeah,
so that's part of their requirement before the
Exactly.
subdivision is
yes.
signed
Yes,
off?
if it's underground electrical power,
Okay,
that's
thank
a
you.
requirement, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Jeannie.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, we've got a moved and seconded motion. Any other discussion, comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried.
Thank you, Worship. That constitutes my report.
Thank you, Counselor.
I do have to go at this
Yeah.
point in time. Thank you,
Okay,
folks.
thanks
Yeah,
for,
we have to
thanks
get
for
going.
coming. Okay, we only got a few more items here. We'll now move to item 13, infrastructure. I'll ask Deputy Mayor Gallant to give his report.
Thank you, Your Worship. The report for October 9th. We're wrapping up the the Forest Main Extension Project, Chorus Lift Station Project, paving project at Pond Sides. Nice to see that done, and on Town Hall. Solar projects at Emergency Service Center and maintenance buildings on Hollis Avenue. So both of them completed, so it's great with the panels and so on, and the paving in both Pond Side and Town Hall. Coordinating items to be completed this fall on the community campus site servicing project. 2 submissions were received for the design of a multi-use path along Glen Store Drive. These were evaluated by staff with the intention of awarding design work within the next few weeks. Coordination with the consultant preparing design for Reeves Estate water main replacement and store lift stations or decommissioning. Planning for the official opening ceremony of the waterfront boardwalk is taking place on October 18th, this month. Coordinating replacement of outdoor showers at T Hill to complete later this month, and funds received from the PEI Beach Infrastructure Program. It's nice to see that being done. Planning for launching the sump pump disconnection program, which would be advertised and promoted after funding partners press release expected anytime. And of course, reviewing policies and bylaws for updates and revisions. Infrastructure has been busy with the following: the grass cutting is winding down and some of our equipment is being ready for winter storage. Buildings and sports fields are being winterized and closed as the season comes to an end. Trail maintenance and repair is ongoing. Assisted with Fall Fest preparation, setup, and removal. Unsightly premises bylaw complaints continue but are decreasing in volume. Training on PICS radios received through Reception Center resiliency funding. Fire hydrant maintenance is being done. Gravity sewer flush and lift stations cleaning continues. Seasonal meter removal and water turnoff at cottages and other seasonal premises have begun and continue into November. Water and sewer inspections, meter installations, and water turn-ons for new development are ongoing. And managing ongoing customer resident inquiries and concerns. During the month of September, there was no reported sewer or water emergencies. And that's a report there. Any questions?
Any questions for the Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I do have a general question, and just around sewer, running sewer. If I'm putting sewer in a subdivision, do I need to, is the town responsible for running the sewer to the property line and the homeowner responsible for the rest? Is that the standard? Sorry, Jeannie.
The Genie. I was going to call you Glant, but Woodard.
That's correct. When we install a sewer system, we are responsible, whether sewer or water, to bring that lateral to the right-of-way boundary or the property boundary. And then the resident, property owner is responsible to complete that connection.
Excellent. Thank you, Jeannie. Just a random question.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I'd just like to add, I know the Bun Beer Rink has been a great job done by maintenance, replaced the screen and the boards and painted it, looks great. And also there's 3 new lights in Clifton Road, street lights, so it's good there. Yeah,
Good,
so.
that was a dark area.
It was a dark area, and talking to the residents, public safety, it was great for walks and at the evening, so it was great to see that done.
Thank you for
Thank you,
advocacy
Jeannie.
in that, and thank you, Jeannie, for getting that, making that happen. That's great.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we'll move to Committee of the Whole. See, our CAO has stepped out for a minute. I don't think we have anything from Committee of the Whole. Sustainability, I'll ask Chair of that committee, Councillor Cox, to give his report.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, our thoughts with residents in Florida, especially Tampa and surrounding areas, having gone through a level 4 hurricane here in PEI, we certainly know about the stress and despair and seriousness of that. And so even though we're way up here in PEI, and they'll never hear me say this, but I think I think we all are kind of watching TV and checking in on this. And so I just wanted to put that out there because we're all thinking about it. So, okay, so the Sustainability Committee held a meeting on Wednesday, October 2nd. Some of the highlights from the meeting are as follows. I think I might have stated part of this before. The members of the business community recently joined the Greater Charlottetown Area Chamber of Commerce for a business mixer hosted by the town of Stratford, which is excellent, and I think we alluded to that. And thanks, Wendy, for all of our hard work and the rest of the staff for their hard work on this. We had a great turnout, great conversations and networking, and look forward to future similar events. I know some of us went to the Chamber of Commerce golf tournament just before this, and we golfed horribly, except for Jill, Councillor Chandler, who is a pretty astute golfer. The diversity and inclusion updates. Since the last council meeting, the diversity and inclusion subcommittee held the new resident welcome event on Saturday, September 14th. I think the mayor and Councillor Glant and myself were at this, and we met some of Stratford's newest residents. As well, the committee continues to focus on the town's anniversary project, a legacy book for the upcoming 30th anniversary of the town. This will, of course, will include 30 residents who are recorded and written by 30 youth. They are still looking for some names for that. So if you want to put a name forward, you do have to have a contact for that person. You just can't give that name forward. You need to have, if you have a phone number and/or an email, I think that's what they need, so they can contact this person, make sure they're okay with their name being put forward. But that would be great to have that legacy of the youth connected with 30 people from our town. The Sustainability Committee has made a request to hold their next meeting as a workshop with the consultants completing the official plan and zoning and development bylaw review. This opportunity will focus around the pursuit of the committee's work balancing both business and economic development with the environmental and sustainability goals of the community. The format and date for this session will be worked out with consultants and announced likely in the near future through the town. Community campus fundraising initiatives. 2 applications have been submitted to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, FCM. The first application on the Sustainability Municipality Building Stream seeks funding for a net zero feasibility study. This study will assess the visibility of sustainable practices and renewable energy solutions for constructing an energy efficient community campus. The second application submitted under the Community Energy System Stream is for a business case and feasibility study for a microgrid energy project. The microgrid would support the new community campus, a future high school, junior high, the adjacent business park by integrating renewable energy sources such as solar and wind, combining with battery storage to achieve a net zero energy system. We talked about this before, but the tree planting program funded by the PEI 2VT program was a success with 150 trees. I have had people say to me that we talked about this on our sustainability committee. Some people, even though it was on like on our sign coming to Stratford, it was in the newsletter, it was on our website. There were still people saying they knew nothing about this program. So as a committee, we talked about what can we do in the future, and we're still looking into that. And maybe one of the committee members said, I think it was Councillor, I think Ron, you said that, eh? Councillor Dowling said that maybe put it in with a bill or something that goes around, something positive like a bill or something that people can look at. And I think another person, I think it was me, said something like you could go to some place and knock door to door if you have time to kind of get to meet your residents again. The 2 billion tree program discontinuation was, sad to hear the recent closure of that. First of all, that name 2 billion trees, if there's 2 billion trees planted in PEI, we have no place to live. So I don't understand why it's called 2 billion PEI. But anyway, we'll leave that. The program is being discontinued through the federal government. They are going to initiate or look at big parcels of land, working with companies, businesses, communities as a whole, and not singular individuals. But we're hoping that a new program of some sorts will come out that'll have the same accessibility that this 2 billion tree program was supposed to have. I think that's right, Wendy. Nothing else to add in that. I think that's good. Okay, thank you, Wendy, for that. Great job. Okay, so also just a couple quick little things. Reminder to residents about cutting grass and raking leaves or whatever, putting piles out. Don't let them blow out on their streets or roads, because people going by on bikes or motorcycles, people running or walking, it can become quite slippery. And a lot of motorcycle accidents do happen because of people shooting grass or leaves onto the street. So we should be careful this time of year, because even though you pack your leaves up, the wind can push them out towards the road. So we want to be careful about that. Okay, so another quick thing, the signs that we're seeing in Stratford, I know I talked to the CAO here, Jeremy Crosby, about this. It's kind of like when you see in your garden or your flowers, you see a beetle a certain type of beetle come into your flowers, whatever, you know, when you wake up tomorrow, there's going to be a whole whack more. And it just seems like these signs are just clustering everywhere in Stratford. And I know that's a provincial thing. I know we've contacted different people, but I don't know what the answer is. It just seems like they're on every post, they're on every little piece of ground that they can stick them on, and I just think it's becoming very clustery, and it's becoming a form of pollution that's just, I don't think we need here. I mean, people who have businesses, you can use social media, you can use all kinds of different outlets. You don't need to just pluck these in the ground all the time. And I know our CEO has been trying to deal with this, but it's a tough thing to deal with. It's like counting grains of sand. It's just impossible. So, but we'll continue to look at that because some residents have contacted me about that. And even sometimes they'll come plop on people's yards, even though they don't have permission. So it just needs to be kind of looked at because that's something we don't need here in Stratford. Anyway, other than that, I think that's my report. So I had a couple other things, but I'm not going to ramble on about that. So thank you.
No, thank you. I think it's great to see the new businesses and, you know, the great environmental initiatives that are going
Yeah.
on. I think those two things together are really moving our town forward.
I can add one thing with that. Sustainable tourism, for example, just came out with a report, and they compared it to 2019, if you read the report, and which is before COVID hit. And from January to September, just looking at bridge traffic, which is a really good indication of tourism, we are up every month in 2024. This is before COVID. So, up except for August, which was the exact same. But in September, it was up 23% on the bridge, Federation Bridge. So, sustainable tourism, part of sustainable businesses, it's really coming forward here in PEI and in Stratford, so that's a really good thing. Just to add what you were saying.
Thank you. Councillor Dowling?
One quick comment, Your Worship. In relation to the signage, it is becoming more and more prevalent, and I notice in my travels around different communities, it's not just Stratford, of course, it's prevalent throughout the island, so maybe other municipalities have expressed the same interest in seeing that come to an end as Stratford is, and hopefully be some piece of provincial legislation that would enable us as a community to deal with it more readily. But it is a good point because it's a bit distracting, but it's also just, I don't think, a very effective marketing campaign, but that's my perspective anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah, just one extra thing to Councillor Cox's mention on the signs as well. I think we're reminded once every 4 years about the election signs and just how disruptive they are. I know we're 2 years out from the next election, but could we look at, I'm not sure if it's under the Elections Act or it's something we can kind of go above and beyond, but I'd love to see us ban signs, election signs from next municipal election. I didn't have any last time, I did all right. But it's just a waste of money. It's a waste of so many things, and it's just with more traffic issues that we do see. If they're in roundabouts, they're flying. I mean, we had them in the middle of a hurricane, and they're flying all over the place. I think it's something I wish we could look at for next time, for whoever is running next time or whatever, to maybe consider. Yeah, I mean, flyers can be recycled. These things hitting people's cars and just being in the ditch, no good. Something to consider, though.
Okay, thank you. Okay, CAO.
Certainly understand where you're coming from, but because they're in the public right of way, it would have to be provincial legislation. We can bring that up with them, but and also the signage that's in the right of ways now, we rely on the Department of Highways to take those down, and we're working closely with them. But it is, like I said, when we don't own the roads, it's a provincial issue, but we can work with them on that. But thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Any other comments or questions on sustainability report? Okay, thank you, Councillor. Okay, the next item is item 16, Intergovernmental Affairs and Accountability. There was a meeting of that committee. I chaired it on October 3rd this year. And basically the discussion centered around the revenue sharing was a big part of the discussion. And the the feeling of the committee was that the same approach should be used for all municipalities, which is in line with the Federation of PEI Municipalities and with our current approach. I know that we do have more similarities with Cornwall than we do with Charlottetown or Summerside or smaller rural municipalities. So I know the CAO is doing some close collaboration with Cornwall, and we're itemizing our increases in expenses since the last agreement, and really trying to show how it's been more than inflation for policing and fire, and especially when you consider the cost of a ladder truck, it's probably only once every 10, 15 years or whatever, but it's still something that, $3.5 million is a major thing. We talked about meetings that have been held between myself and staff with other orders of government. I know that we've been meeting on a regular basis with the Minister of Finance, who's the MLA for our town, one of the MLAs for our town, Honorable Jill Burridge, and also the Minister of Population and Workforce, who's now also the Minister of Status of Women, Jen Redmond, Honorable Jen Redmond. So, and we've been discussing with them, our needs on revenue sharing, on the need for funding for our community campus wellness center, and there's a lot of irons in the fire, and there was a lot of discussion around the funding that's taking place in other jurisdictions, specifically Charlottetown, and the $2.5 million that was received for transit, and that sort of generated a lot of discussion around fairness for and equitable treatment for our town. So anyway, those items we're I think our intergovernmental affairs file is going along pretty well. We have a good relationship with other orders of government. On the accountability side, I think that we're still looking to have the key performance indicators presented to the committee, and we hope to have that as well. And the resident survey, I know it was presented to council, but it was not we weren't able to present it to the committee because it still hadn't been, I guess, the review hadn't been completed by council, and but we will be doing that at the next meeting. Am I forgetting anything, Wendy? I wasn't at the meeting. Oh, you weren't at the meeting. Okay, Jeremy was there, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's my report. Any questions or comments on the Intergovernmental Affairs report? Okay, next item is inquiries by members of council. Anything about the town that anyone would like to inquire about? Councillor Chandler?
No, sorry.
No?
I thought we skipped one.
Oh, okay. Okay, we'll move on to other committees. Stratford Seniors Complex, Deputy Mayor Gallant, I believe you chair that committee.
Thank you, Your Worship. September 11th, that's when we last met, Seniors Committee report. We are still waiting for the building assessment reports from Coles. The draft report was supposed to be done by mid-September. The budget for 2025 is currently being worked on. Fall cleanup is being completed on the gardens. Work that needed to be completed based on annual inspection has been done. Snow removal and salting tender for the walkways will be done by the same person as last winter. A tenant is moving to a long-term care facility, so we'll be fixing up the unit and get it ready for rent. And currently, right now, there's 26 people on the waiting list. And that's my report, Your Worship.
Thank you. Yep. Councillor Jackson?
Yeah, I just wondered, thank you, Deputy Mayor, for your report. I just wondered if it's possible, looking that we still have 26 people on the wait list, and I know we're not really maybe in a position to build another seniors complex, but can we lobby the province to find some affordable seniors housing in Stratford? I know nothing that we've put up, not that we put up, but that's been developed or is even in the imminent plans is doing anything for this. And I know they're actively purchasing, either constructing or purchasing housing. Is it something as a town we can do advocate for that, because I know it's a task for us to build our own. But I think they're buying units in lots of different places, and I think to find another building or another place in Stratford where you have rents that are geared to income like they are in our seniors complex, they're non-existent. So everything that's in the hopper is not in this
That's right.
price bracket. So I think if we can't do it ourselves, I think we should be lobbying government to do something about it over here, either existing or help put up some new affordable seniors housing somewhere.
Yeah, and I agree with what you're saying totally, Councillor Jackson, and good for you to bring that forward. But to me, it's almost like it's not affordable. It's more affordable, or a little bit more affordable. Even when the government gives you affordable, in a lot of cases, it's not affordable for the people that are getting the affordable. And that term, and nothing against you, Councillor Jackson, I appreciate you bringing that forward, but to me, I guess it kind of irks me the way things are going, especially with our seniors, that, people are giving so much to our province, and we throw terms out, as far as helping support them, whatever, and that comes from the governments. And to me, I just think that this is a no-brainer. This is something that shouldn't even be talked about. It should just be done, right? So.
And it has been done. I mean, there are.
Oh, it hasn't, but it's not affordable in a lot of cases.
I just found out about some this week that are, there are people paying for something for rent based on 20%, 25% of their income in Stratford. It can be done. It should be done more.
Yeah, but there's not enough. That's what I'm saying.
There's not enough.
There's exceptions, but there's not enough.
The fact that they can do it in one building, they can
Yeah.
do it in others.
Right.
So we should be pushing them to do it.
And we're an aging population in a lot of sectors, right? A lot of towns and communities. It's something that's going to become a bit of a crisis as we move forward. So, thank you, though.
No, it's a great story. I mean, with the seniors residents there and the low income, and for seniors, a great facility facilitate these situations. And I know I agree 100%. I mean, maybe we bring it to a committee of a whole meeting, right, and talk about it and start it off, and maybe talk to our member of parliament and our two provincial members, Jill and Jen and Lawrence, and start from there, right? I mean, I know CEO Crosby said we need land. Well, that's a big thing. That's purchasing land. Does town of Stratford have a location or so on to build, you mean? Or work with the province, or, collaboration with the province and so on.
Our senior complex is excellent. It really is great.
Oh, yeah.
It's really great. And we put heat pumps in there and everything else. Like, we've done a lot to support that. But there's been 26 people on the waiting list since I came in as a councillor over 2 years ago. And if I leave in 2 years, there'll still be 26. And that's nothing against town of Stratford or against our staff or anybody. It just shows you there's that need. And if we could double that place, we would. But it's hard, right? Like land or whatever you're going to do. But it's just something we have to keep in our radar.
Yeah,
So.
and I think it's not in our, it's probably not in our realm of possibilities right now, but I think there's one entity that can do it, and the province can do it, and they have done it, and there's existing infrastructure out there they could purchase for that purpose. I know some of these that I did talk about where the rents are, rent geared income, it's not just seniors, it's other folks that are at risk. So I think if they can do that, they can do that for seniors. So I plan on advocating for them anyway.
Just a quick comment on that. His Worship mentioned earlier about, seeking equitable distribution, and that's all we're looking for in Stratford as well. We have plenty of seniors, we have low-income individuals, and as the province executes their plan to help mitigate that need, we'd hope that they'd keep Stratford in mind so that our residents that are in need of actual affordable housing based on their percentage of their income are able to stay in Stratford and not be compelled to move to another community.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's a good point, thanks. Okay, that brings us to appointments to the committees, and Councillor Dowling's brought to my attention that we really should be encouraging people to put their names forward, both those who are on committees and those who would like to be on committees. I think the deadline, Wendy, is October 21st, and we really want to have committees do a great job for our town. They make a lot of our decisions much easier, and They provide a lot of analysis, and they bring a lot of expertise and experience to the table. A lot of people with really professional backgrounds and lots of great experience to put their names forward for committees and then come and go to meetings and provide their expertise and their perspectives, and just to have residents at large coming and being involved in the business of the town in various committees. It's really helpful for the committee members and also for the town. So I would really encourage anyone who has any time available in the evenings or noon hours to put their names forward, and you know, there's an application form that's on the website, on the Town of Stratford website, and people can just put their names forward and be chosen to be a member of a committee. It's very interesting. I know that's the way I got started in local government, was being part of a committee, and I really found it to be quite interesting, and it's something that I think gives back both to the committee member and to the community. Yeah, any other appointments anything on appointments to the committees? Okay. No proclamations. Any other business anyone would like to bring to the table this time? No? Okay, I'll call for a motion for adjournment. Thank you. We're now adjourned.